Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we're going to discuss the summary of chapter 5 from Movements, and the name of the chapter is The Happy Prince. So, the Happy Prince in the story is a statue of a dead prince decorated with gold leaves and precious stones. The Happy Prince felt sad because he was unable to help the people who are in misery. So, let's see the summary in detail now. There was a statue of the Happy Prince on a tall column standing high in the city. A little swallow flew over the city as he was going to Egypt to join his friends. As Swallow arrived at the city at night and decided to put up at the feet of the Happy Prince statue, when he was about to sleep, water drops fell on him. He thought where the water was coming from. Then he looked up and saw the Happy Prince weeping. He asked him why he was weeping. The Happy Prince told him that when he used to have a human heart, he did not see anything unfortunate as the miseries were forbidden to enter the palace. But now he could see all over the city and got aware of all the miseries and ugliness the city was reeling under. So he was trying to tell the bird that when he was alive, he did not see any kind of misery in his palace, but now he is dead and he is unable to help people. He could only see their miseries all around. So it was making him sad that he could not help the people who are in miseries. Then Happy Prince told the swallow that though he is made up of gold, but his heart is of lead. And therefore Swallow surprised to hear about his lead heart. The Happy Prince told him that he could see a woman in a poor house doing embroidery on a satin gown for the queen's maids of honor. She was a seamstress and her son was lying ill in his bed. The Happy Prince asked the swallow if he would bring the seamstress the ruby out of his sword hilt. The swallow flew away with ruby in its beak towards the seamstress house. He placed the ruby on the table beside the woman's thimble. After that, the swallow went to sleep, and next morning he told the prince in high spirits that he would fly to Egypt that night. The Happy Prince asked him to stay for a night longer, and he said further that he saw a young man in a garret trying to finish a play for the director of the theatre. He was feeling cold as there was no fire in the fireplace, and he was hungry too. The Happy Prince told the swallow that he must take one sapphire out of his eye and give it to the playwright. The swallow did not accept his proposal, but then followed his command. He took one sapphire out from his eye and flew towards the young man's garret. There he left the sapphire on the withered violets, and the playwright cried happily that he was appreciated by an admirer of his work. So somebody have left that sapphire for him. Next day the swallow flew down to the harbour and sat on the mast of a large vessel, watching the sailor working. When the noon appeared in the sky, he went back to the prince. That night the Happy Prince again asked the swallow to stay with him for one more night. He further stated that there was a little girl who was selling matchbox and whose matches got spoiled, and now she was crying and afraid of going back home for the fear of his father beating her. He asked the swallow to take out his second sapphire to give it to the match girl. The swallow agreed to stay with him but refused to pluck out the second sapphire as it would make him blind. The Happy Prince commanded him to do so, and hence the swallow plucked out the second sapphire. He flew over the match girl, slipping the sapphire into the palm of her hand. The girl happily went to her home. Now the prince was blind. The swallow decided to stay with him forever to narrate everything going around him. The swallow, being the prince's only door to the world's happiness, would tell him about the merrymaking of the rich and the pathetic state of the beggars. The starving children were roaming in the dark corners of the black streets. The Happy Prince told him to pick off his gold leaves and give them to the poor so that they could be happy. After picking off all the gold leaves and distributing them among the poor, the faces of the children grew rosier, and they laughed and played in the street, but the happy prince became dull and grey. When the snow and later the frost came, it became unbearable for the swallow to face the cold. Soon he got to know that he was going to die. The swallow kissed the prince and fell down dead at his feet. The leaden heart of happy prince was also broken into two because of the swallow death. Now, early next morning, the mayor with his town councillors was taking a walk in the square when he saw the dull and grey statue of the happy prince and the dead bird at his feet. He ordered to remove the statue and no bird should be allowed to die there. The statue was sent to a furnace for melting, but the supervisor got the broken leaden heart thrown out on the heap of dust where the dead swallow was lying. After some time, God asked his angels to bring him two most precious things from the city, and they brought him the leaden heart and a dead bird. He further stated that the bird would sing forever in his garden of paradise, and the happy prince would praise him in his city of gold. So this was the story of the happy prince. I hope you understood this story very well, and now when you look at the questions of this chapter, it will be easy for you to answer them all.